you so much for being here and welcome back to my YouTube sewing tutorial channel. Hi, I'm Teresa from 360 Handmade Bags and welcome to my sewing studio. So today's bag is an absolute work of art. And thank you so much, Shamballa, for allowing me to do this bag as well as all your other bag patterns. This bag is something else. It's a large bag, but it is so pretty. It's called the Beautiful Sunset Bag Pattern from Shamballa. It was part of their Zodiac membership group, and it first came out with Sammy Valencia is the pattern designer, and it came out August 6th of 2025. Wait till you see this. Like I said, this bag is a work of art. Check this out. Look at this. Isn't that gorgeous? This is so pretty. It has this beautiful sun, and I'll show you how I did the relief on it, and this beautiful sky and the different mountain scenes. So I did, and I explain all the fabrics that I use, but look at this. It has a beautiful, good size zipper pocket. We have zipper or purse feet on the bottom, so a nice zipper pocket on the back. This gorgeous, gorgeous painting. And in the pattern, they describe it like that as painting as well. And look at this strap. It's a nice shoulder bag, and this strap ends and the strap loops riveted on both sides. It just gives it that elevated look. How pretty is this? The biggest thing to do is to figure out what you're going to do, the different colors that you're going to do. So I really went all out making the sun. I made the normal size, and then I made it bigger, put foam in behind each piece, and I really, really thought hard about the different colors, because in painting, you know, your light colors are in the background, and then you work deeper colors, darker colors in the foreground, so that they pop out. But look at how pretty this is. And it has a recessed zipper. And then on the inside, we have a large size, and then there's a zipper. Might be hard to see, but you have a good size zipper on the inside. So it's not an easy thing to figure out what you're going to do for colors and fabrics, and how you're going to paint the front of your beautiful sunset bag. But get everything together, grab the pattern, and join me in this tutorial for sewing up the beautiful sunset bag from Shamballa. Alrighty, so what we're going to be using today, I have my Made in Canada label. That'll go in. The hardware, it's minimal hardware, and the color that I'm using is the antique brass. So I have 3 number 5 zipper pulls in antique brass, 2 strap ends, 1 inch, and a zipper end. Now I don't have the antique brass, but I do have a gold, so 1 zipper end. And then I am going to be, I have my new 360 logoed bag tag, and I haven't decided if I'm going to use the iridescent rainbow or the gunmetal. So I'll figure that out after everything is made. The thread that I'm using is it's almond strong bonded nylon, 70 tex weight, and it is their dark brown, and I got this from EMMALINE bags, but Waywack has it. And it seems to be a really nice thread that I'm really thrilled about. So my interior lining is this red soft shell, and I'm going to see what the soft shell works up like for a lining. And I got this from our social place in Vancouver on their website, and it's an organization that takes cast-offs of remnants of fabrics and all sewing items and craft items, and predominantly from the movie industry. And they get them and then they sell them at a super, super discount. When I had my last order with them, I think I paid $65 Canadian, and I got over maybe 12 to 15 meters total of all different kinds of fabrics. So we're going to use this nice bright red for the lining. Now for the front panel, there's a few different fabrics that we're using. So the sun, because this is such a unique pattern by Shamballa, and the sun is going to be, so the sky piece has a cutout for where the sun goes, and this is the fabric that I'm using. I'm really going to try and kind of have it kind of artsy looking. So this fabric piece here is from Sam Fabric Creation in Quebec, and I don't know if you can see where I've marked my sun hole template, but it's in there in pencil. It's very light. So we're going to be using that for the sky. For the sun, I'm going to do something different than what it shows in the pattern. It just has one sun. And this is a scrap piece of the Mora mustard faux leather. And, but I'm going to put it on a background of this orange, which is really the EMMALINE bag's prairie faux leather. It's a scrap, and it is in the wood lily color. So they're going to go on top of each other, and I want to give it some kind of a dimension and see how that works. So what I have also done is I've put the by Annie's soft and stable foam under each piece, and I'm going to see how that looks. Sewing it onto the sky for a bit of a 3D-ish kind of effect. So there's our sun. Then mountain one is this orange iridescent faux croco, orangey pinky yellow from, and this is from Sam Fabric as well. That's mountain piece one. Mountain piece two, this is also from Sam Fabric. So this is a vinyl. It's that mustardy yellow, but it has some really cool brown lines in it and dimension. And honestly, this piece looks like sedimentary rock with the layers. I love geology. So that's mountain two. Mountain piece three, this is where I'm going to be putting the bag tag on. But this piece is in the Mora faux leather, and that is the tan color. So we're really having kind of like a super southwestern kind of look. And then this mountain 4 is in the EMMALINE bag's prairie faux leather, but this is, now I just got this in, and I'm trying a 1/2 meter of it, and it's their vermilion red. And this is really nice. This color, what it reminds me of, if you're into paleontology and human origin and stuff like that, when you see the petroglyphs and all of the cave art painting from way back in Neanderthal type days, and you see the handprints on the walls or on the rock where they've blown red ochre around the handprint, that's exactly what this color reminds me of, this vermilion red. So this is EMMALINE bags. Prairie faux leather in vermilion red, and I just got a 1/2 meter of it. This is going to be the main color of the bag, which is why the antique brass looks so great, and then the dark brown thread will look great. All right, so the first part that we're going to do is we're going to work on the sun and the sky. So I got my sky piece. And the first piece that I'm going to put on is the orange, because I want to sew the orange down, and I have double-sided tape on the foam. And then I'm going to put the yellow sun on, and we're going to stitch around the perimeter. And this is going to take time, and I'm going to have a small stitch length, probably a 2, because I want to be able to get around those curves really, really well. I'll have it at a 2 or a 3, and I need to be able to make sure I can get over that, the foam. But we're going to be doing this in 2 parts, so I'm just taking the backing off of the double-sided tape. I'm also trying a new angle with the camera. I've lowered it so it's not sitting so much high and looking down. You can't see me. You can see what I'm doing better on my desk. It's a little closer, and maybe you might be able to see what I'm doing at the sewing machine. So one of the things I also forgot to mention was all of these faux leathers and vinyls are going to be sewn with a raw edge. So you can either edge paint all of your raw edges, or the raw edges that you're going to be seeing on the front of the bag, or all I did was I took a lighter to the underneath and the edges and just kind of burned off any fuzzies, and just to help kind of seal it a little bit. So I'm going to put the orange part of the halo of the sun over top of that circle that I made on my template, and now I'm going to stitch it down. So I do have to change my stitch length because I had it. All right, and I'm not back stitching before and after. I'm going to be tying my threads to the back. So here goes. When I stitch, I'm going to be stitching tighter than a 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, or at least an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, but it's going to be going slow because I have to get around those curves. I'm really anxious to see what the effect of this is going to look like, just to make it a little different. Going around the curves isn't too bad. Oh. My stitch is rubbing. He's up against my belt and he's making, his foot was rubbing on it. Okay, coming up to where I finished or started. All right. Oh, I really like the look of this thread. I really like the look of the Tex 45 weight from EMMALINE, the bonded nylon. Okay, so I'm just pulling the threads to the back. If I can catch it. Sometimes it doesn't want to catch, or I can't pull it up. It's caught on another thread. There we go. Okay, we've got them all pulled out. Make sure. Threads are too long. I always double knot this, and it doesn't seem, nothing seems to want to work right at the moment. Okay, let's try this again. There we go. Double knot each one, and then I do about 3 ties. And then I'll just burn those threads. Okay. Does this go this way? Yeah, okay. I have to remember what the top is. Okay, so there is our sun, and it has a bit of dimension from the foam. So now I'm going to put the yellow over top and give it a bit of a halo kind of effect and have a kind of a 3D look on the bag. In looking online for this beautiful sunset bag from Shamballa, there weren't any tutorials. I couldn't find a tutorial. So I don't know, maybe this will be the first tutorial that gets done. I just want to center this on here. Okay, and then I'm going to stitch around that as well and keep the threads long. It's pretty thick with both foams. Give it a nice halo effect though. Okay, cool. If you hear some noise, I have Murphy in here with me with the door closed. Oh, it didn't get pulled through. Huh. Which one is it? Okay, perfect. Sorry for the sniffing, but it's colder back here at the back of the house here. And it is winter and it is dry. Oops, might as well just tie that. Okay. Well, that looks kind of cool. It's different and it has some relief to it. Pretty neat. Okay, now on the sky, we also there's also marks on the pattern to mark these two sides. And that's where we're going to lay mountain piece 1 over top. Okay, so I've got mountain piece 1. And it also had marks as well. So I've already marked those marks for mountain piece 2. This is what took me time was to figure out what colors and color combinations to use. I took pictures of all different kinds of things and it was like, holy smokes, it took a bit of time. All right, so I thought I had done this, but I'm going to be putting double-sided tape. I'm using 1/4 inch tape, and I'm going to put it all around the top of that mountain piece, all around those curves. It is a jigsaw puzzle. That's why I love sewing so much, because I do love doing jigsaw puzzles, and making bags is like doing a jigsaw puzzle. And that lays on just like that. Okay, so we have right where these marks are, right here and here, is where I'm going to be laying this piece over top and then sewing it on. All right, so make sure that you line up your raw edge sides with the side here. And I'm just going to go slightly above that mark because we don't want it being seen. Doesn't seem to be lining up very well. Oh, that's right, I think this piece was slightly smaller. You'll hear a vacuum in the background. Okay, this is going to look so cool. Look at that. Isn't that neat? Okay, and I'm just going to top stitch all the way around that top of the mountain one. Remember these sides, and I can back stitch at the beginning and the end on this piece because of the, it's right at the side where the seams are going to be. So I'm just starting that top stitching at the side. You're not going to see it. And the way this is described to do in the pattern is just like you're painting. In fact, that's what they refer to it as. Your paintbrush is really your sewing machine in your fabric. Pretty cool. Some of the works that other bag makers did as different ideas of how to do this front. Somebody did one and they cut out one of these pieces, kind of a jaggedy hole and a jaggedy on top, and made it look like one of those, you know, Arches National Park in the US, and it looked like one of those arches. It was so cool. That's on my bucket list to go to. Okay, now we're going to do mountain piece number 2. And I'm going to lay that down where the marks are on mountain piece 1. So I need to put my double-sided tape on. Oops. Okay, so we'll start from the right again. Lay that edge to edge right above that mark so you can't see it. Kind of drop it and see where it lands. It's too high. Okay. This is so cool. There we go. And I'm just going to stitch all around that as well. At 1/8 of an inch. I love that this piece looks like sedimentary rock. I think that's just so cool. And then this orange faux croco looks like a rock formation too. So cool. And of course with painting, because I do watercolor paintings, you always start light, slightly darker, slightly darker, slightly darker more, and then dark at the front so that the light colors look like they're receded in the background. And the darker colors come forward in your foreground. This is going to be a big bag. It's, I think, 11.5 by 11.5. And look at how, I love how this from Sam Fabric, it looks like such a moody looking, vibrant southwestern sky. It's, I just love it. Okay, mountain piece 3. And I need this because I know I'm going to be putting my bag tag on here. And I just need to put double-sided tape. I was going to have all of this done. So that goes here. Okay, down the top and off down the side. So this piece is the tan color Mora faux leather. So there's different kinds of textured fabric. There's different kinds of look to the different pieces that I'm using for the mountains to give it more of a, instead of just a flat look, to give it more of a rocky look, I guess, terrain. And this one doesn't have marks on it because it's going to come up this side and it's going to sit right on the corner here and line up with your left raw edge. And it'll also fit right along the bottom, and so down the left side and on the bottom. So I've just got the faux leather on the top part. But this gives it some nice dimension for the mountains as well. Oops. Keeps moving on me. Okay. Okay. So I'm now, isn't that cool? I'm now going to just stitch all along the top here and all the way down the side. This looks amazing. I'm just thrilled. Okay, now mountain piece 4, which is the Prairie Faux Leather Vermilion Red, and that's going to be the main color of the bag. And put double-sided tape on that. The Prairie Faux Leather from EMMALINE bags is really nice. It's fairly new to their line, and it's not as soft and supple as the Mora Faux Leather, but it is thicker. Like it has more stability than the Mora. So the Mora is great for a slouchy bag. And the Mora feels like soft, supple, almost lambskin in a way. Okay, so this piece is going to go on this corner. Just line up the corner, your right side raw edge, and your bottom. Okay. Cool, eh? Okay, so I'm just going to stitch all around the top here. This is so pretty. Look at this. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh, I love it. So pretty. Okay, so we're going to go on and see what the next step is. And I'm really following the pattern because, like I said, there wasn't a tutorial that I could find. It doesn't mean there isn't one out there. But before I go further, come on. Okay, Murphy wanted to say hi. He loves saying hi to everybody. So there's Murphy. Okay, give me a kiss. All right, you be a good boy. All right, you go in your bed. You got your toys there. Okay, I will see what the next step is. Okay, so this is the front panel that we have sewn, and I decided to use my Rainbow 360 brand new bag tag. So one of the things I also did was I made sure that after, of course, after this was sewn, I put on the Vianney's foam on here, and then I put my bag tag on after. Now, one of the things that's in the pattern that I didn't do was after some of these big pieces, it tells you in the pattern to cut out the bulk in behind so that you don't, so it's not as thick. I didn't, clearly, but it's in the pattern. So there we go. So our front panel is done and the bag tag is on. Now we're going to start working on the back zipper pocket. So you're going to need your back zipper pocket lining, which we cut on the fold. You're going to need your back panel top, and you're going to need your back panel bottom. You're going to need one of your shorter zippers, and I have double-sided tape on both. And you're going to need your 2 zipper tabs. So the zipper tabs, I used the vermilion, and what we're going to do is we're going to put them on both ends of the zipper tape. And the zipper that I'm using is the tan, it's a tan zipper tape that I get by the yard from Amazon, and it has the antique brass teeth on it. And I've already put my zipper pull on it, my number 5. So I'm just going to put the zipper tabs on right side of the fabric, right to the right side of the teeth, so wrong side showing, and do that on both ends. And please excuse the noise in the background. And then do it for the other side as well. And it'll be wrong side up for both. So I'm going to stitch across at the seam allowance in the pattern, and then we're going to flip those and top stitch. Sorry for the noise. It's a vacuum. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're just going to flip this zipper tab. We're going to flip it up and top stitch across that at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. On both ends. This vermilion red is really pretty. It's very earthy, which goes perfectly for this beautiful sunset bag from Shamballa. And I'm really liking this thread. The one thing I like about this thread, so this is the dark brown. Oops, I've got one strand here. I'm trying to see where my camera is. It doesn't, this nylon, like all the polyesters I have, the ends all unravel and fray. And honestly, it could take me 15 or 20 minutes to thread my needle. Alrighty, so what we're going to do, and I've already put on, so you're on my back panel top and my back panel bottom, I've already put the foam on. So the back panel bottom, I'm going to put double-sided tape across this top edge, top straight edge on the right side. And then I'm going to lay my, and I have my centers marked, and I'm going to lay down the, I've got the zipper pull closing to the left, and I didn't mark my centers because I wanted to do that after I put the zipper tabs on. So I line up my zipper tabs, the edges, make sure that they're even, get my zipper pull out of the way. I was always cutting notches into my zipper tape, and then I've watched other bag makers and that they don't recommend it. Your zipper tape, and all zipper tape is different, could fray well after you've sewn everything up. All right, so I'm just making a crease for my center, and then I'm just going to mark it with my gel pen on the wrong side. I always do it on the right side, and you don't want to see it. Oops, don't want to do that on my main fabric. You'll see it, the white, but it rubs off. This gel pen rubs off. Okay, I'll use my blue gel pen to be able to see my centers better on my zipper tape. Okay, so I have my centers marked. Okay, so wrong side up, teeth side is the right side, and so teeth side down. Line up your center of your zipper with the center on your back panel. Make sure that your zipper tape and your raw edges on the top of the panel are even, and your zipper tabs as well. Okay. And I'm going to run another strip of double-sided tape across the top. Oh, I don't have to, sorry. I already have it on my zipper panel. Okay, so on the back zipper pocket, this is the piece that was folded when you cut it. Make sure your centers are marked, and I've already got double-sided tape. I hope it's going to stick. It might not want to. All right, it's not going to stick. So I'm going to run this double-sided tape across the top of the zipper like I was originally going to do. And I will have to clip it because it won't stick to that. Okay. All right, right side to right side and wrong side up on the lining. And line that up with the top of your zipper. I'd like you guys to mention in the comments how you like this view of the camera that I've changed for this video. I know you can't see me, or you can see the part I really don't want you to see, but that doesn't matter because you don't need to be seeing me. I want you to be able to see what I'm doing on my desk and at the sewing machine. That's what's more important to me anyway. Okay, then we're going to stitch across this. My foam might be in the way, so I'm just going to trim this foam down because it might be a little too long. There is a mark in the pattern. Well, not on here, but I might have cut my foam a little too wide, so I'm just going to take about 1/8 of an inch off of it. Just so it's not covering those zipper teeth. It's a little better. Okay, so I'm going to stitch across, and then we are going to flip it and top stitch. And I'm going to change my stitch length now because I didn't change it after I did that. I'm changing my stitch length to a 3. That's what I usually sew at. It's typically what I top stitch at as well. Okay, and just sew at the seam allowance in the pattern, which it's going to be 1/4 of an inch because that's where my presser foot's going to line up with my zipper teeth. This might be a big bag too. Okay, I just have to move my zipper pull out of the way. I really like this thread. Okay. So now we are going to flip it and top stitch allowance. So your lining is now going down this way, and so is the bottom part of your main panel. Make sure everything's pulled taut so that the lining doesn't get bunched up underneath. Desk isn't big enough. I was going to use the red thread, but I think this brown looks really, really nice and keeps in with the earthy tones of everything. Red would have just been too bright. This dark brown is really great. Okay, so there is the top stitching all done. And of course, this tan matches perfectly with the Mora faux leather tan that we did on Mountain Piece 4. If you're wondering. Okay, so flip it to the wrong side, and this is your lining, so that when your zipper is open, you're going to look inside to the right side of the lining. Okay, so we know that this is not going to stick very well, so I'm going to take the double-sided tape, lay it across the top edge of the zipper tape. And then fold your bottom edge of your lining up to the top, that top zipper edge, matching your centers. Okay, flip it over to the right side. And you're going to need your back panel top. And I already have my foam on. And then on the pattern piece, there's a measurement for the top margin that you have to keep your foam or interfacing from. So I'm just going to take the double-sided tape, lay it across the top, straight across. Just give me a sec. I'm going to just melt these loose threads because I don't want them peeking through. Alrighty, and then take your top piece. No, it's this piece, the bottom edge. And I marked the wrong center, but I'm sure I'll need that other one at some point. Make sure the proper center is marked. Okay, and then lay this on your zipper. Where is my center on my zipper? Look at it here. Okay, so right sides together along the top edge of your zipper. All right, and then we're going to stitch across this and then flip it and top stitch. Zipper pull out of the way. More vacuum. Okay, so now I'm going to flip it and I'm going to top stitch across. And I'm going to make sure that the seam allowance is going up to the top so it gets caught in the top stitching. And more vacuum sounds. Sorry guys. But I'm very thankful I can have somebody come in and clean. I started doing that when I was taking care of my dad and my mom at the same time because I just didn't have time to do any cleaning. And I'm just very thankful I can keep it up. And Chris, my friend who does my cleaning, she's thankful I can too. Okay, look at that. Okay, that really looks nice, that tan brown. It really looks nice with this red. So when we open up the pocket, there we see the red interior. And then I'm just going to stitch up the sides. So when we stitch up the sides, by the looks of this one, I'm just going to pull this back. And of course your zipper's in the way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clip it. I'm going to make sure that that's flattened right there. I'm going to stitch from here, maybe go in about 1/4 of an inch, 3/8 of an inch or 1 centimeter, and then stitch, like back stitch here, and then stop here, and then go down the side, and then do that on the other side as well. And then that will create our, but don't stitch into the zipper that you've got there going on. That'll just help seal up those sides. It's getting caught. My foot. I'll be on some double-sided tape. There we go. The other side, just doing about 1/4 inch seam allowance. You want your pockets big because you need to stuff them with all your junk. Okay, and then I'll just end right here. And then just stitch along the side there. See if that caught on the other side. I think I'm just going to come in and do that seam just a little tighter than what I had. Didn't seem to catch the other side. Oops. Okay. I overshot the stitching, but that's okay. Okay, so this is what I've got on this side and on both sides. I kind of stitched in here and then down and then on this side as well. Okay, so our back panel is done, and that is quite a large back zipper pocket on the back of the bag. Our front is done. That is so cool. Okay, so we're going to be working on the bottom gusset now. So you're going to need your bottom exterior, and you have one exterior for the bottom, and I've already put my foam on there. You're going to need your gusset sides, and this pattern piece has certain marks for rivet placements and for the strap. And so you have 2 exterior. I've already marked the rivet placements for the strap tabs that are going to go around the strap for a feature, and I've already put my foam on all of these pieces, and I've already marked my center. Okay, so for the strap ends, we have to draw a center line, double-sided tape on both sides, and then just take the double-sided tape off both edges, and then fold them into the center, if I can get the backing off. On both of them, and then we'll top stitch. We'll fold the raw edges into the center line, and then we'll top stitch. All right, so I've got my 2 loops done. Now I'm going to top stitch on both sides of them. Murphy's happy. He's been freed out of my room now. Jim's home. No more noise in the background. So he's able to go and snuggle with Jim. All right. Now it says on the pattern piece, oh, it went right over onto my windowsill, to mark 1/4 inch in from either end, a dot, and to mark, because we're going to be putting rivets there. put the dot in the center. We're going to be attaching this onto our gusset sides. Okay, so I've just marked the little dots, maybe hard to see, right there and there on both pieces, and I'll cut my rivet holes. It's really overcast today, so I don't have any great lighting coming in from outside. Mind you, it's winter, so, but I do have good lighting here. Okay. So I've punched my holes. I have already punched the holes that are on the pattern piece onto my side gussets. Make sure I did the right ones. Yeah, okay. Now, so I'm going to be using caps that are the that you can actually will be able to see, even though the strap's going to be covering them, out of the antique brass. But the underneath rivet with the post is going. I have these are shorter. The post is shorter, so of course they're the rose gold, and it doesn't matter because you're not going to see them. So pop your first post rivet into the back from the back, and then wrong side up. Pop it into the first hole so that your raw edge, now first of all, before we do that, I want to melt my raw edges so that they're a little cleaner looking. I've got that sticky stuff all over my fingers now from the dye. Okay. All right, so we pop the rivet post into the back. Then we're going to put this right side up and then, or sorry, wrong side up, and then pop the rivet or pop the hole over the rivet so that we're going to be folding that over right side up. And then I'm going to put this rivet on. And we're going to then put the other post into the other hole through the back. First of all, before we do that, I want to press this post with my rivet press. Oops. Okay. Then we take the other post, pop it through the back, and then we take this strap, bring it over top, tuck the end under so that that end, and then pop it onto the rivet hole. I can get it. There. Okay. So that basically when you look inside, your two raw edges are meeting. Mine are a little over top, and I'm going to do my best to get this. Oh, I need to put my cap on. Make sure it's lined up and straight. And I'll move that over. Get that seated. Pull the strap away from the cap. Hope for the best. Did it work? if we go down a bit more? There. Okay. Need my muscles here. Okay, so there is, that looks better than what it was. So the strap's going to slide here, hang down with the strap end, and it's going to look really, really cool. Okay, I will repeat that on this side. Wrong side up. Pop that on. Might as well stay standing. I'm going to need to stand again. All right, pop the post into the back. Feed that around so the right side is showing. And the raw edges inside are touching. Oops, pop the cap on the inside. Make sure they're lined up. Okay. Make sure the edges on the inside are lined up. Pull that strap away. Let's just, I get it. All right, that felt good. Okay, they're done. So that looks pretty good. And you're not going to see those raw edges. Sorry, excuse me. My throat is so dry. Okay, so that's what it looks like. But you're not going to see that because the strap's going to cover that. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, so we're going to finish up the gusset. So we need our bottom piece. Now, the pattern does have marks on it that you could put purse feet on it if you want to. I'm not going to. So we need the bottom. And we need our two side gussets that we made. So what we're going to do is right sides together. We're going to line up these edges. The wider edge on the bottom of the gusset and then the edge of the bottom, and just clip them together, and we're going to do that for both sides, and they should match perfectly. So we're just going to clip them together, and then we're going to sew them at the seam allowance in the pattern, and then we're going to flip them and top stitch. Space here. Okay, and then just do the other side. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to fold the seams down towards the bottom gusset and then top stitch on this part of the gusset. I don't know that it really matters, but okay. So we have the bottom gusset attached to the sides and our strap connectors or strap decorative thing. Okay, and I will be back. All right, so we've made the gusset, and the one thing I said earlier was I wasn't going to put any purse feet on, but I decided afterwards to do it because this is a wider gusset. So I've already gone and installed 3 of these little dome antique brass purse feet. And for those who haven't done it before, I'm going to show you how it's done. So I used the pattern that had the template for where the 4 feet go on the bottom piece. I've already punched my hole. It's just like putting a magnetic snap on. So this is one of the dome feet. They're not very big. They have 2 prongs and they come with a small washer. So all I do is pop it in through the right side like that, flip it over. Now I line up the prongs because the prongs have to be splayed open. So you can either have them going this way and back way, or you can have them going this way. I'm going to turn it so that when I open them up, they open up this way because I don't have any more stitching to do in this area. And if I turn them this way and open them up, they could get in the way of my stitching that way. That's just what I do. Okay, put the washer, the prongs go through the center of the washer. Yeah, that's better. All right, now splay it open. The prongs. So that I have them oriented going this way, because if I had them going this way, the length of the prongs could get in the way of my stitch line. And then, of course, I just take duct tape, pop it over top to protect anything from underneath, or the lining from rubbing against the metal prongs and washer. So there it is on the wrong side. And now we have 4 beautiful and classy looking purse feet. Alrighty, so we're going to start working on the strap right now. And you're going to need your strap and template pattern piece. And at some point your margin template piece, which is quite a bit thinner. So the first step that we're going to do you have 2 lengths of your strap with the measurement in the pattern, and on each end we are going to take the strap end template and we're going to line it up on each end. I've already done it on 3 ends, so I've already made the template on the other side, other piece of the strap, and on this end. But I'm going to show you what we're going to be doing. So you're just going to lay this template centered in there on that end. Clip the wider end, and the wider end goes towards the center of the strap. just line that up along the edge here and center that and clip it. And then just clip the two wider ends and then follow that template line all the way to the end here. Okay, and then we're going to just trim off that part, that section on all four sides. So we're just going to trim along the lines here right to this end, and that'll create a narrower strap end so that eventually it'll fit through those loops that we put on, riveted onto our gusset sides. Okay, so with your strap ends trimmed, we're going to take the strap margin template, and I'm just going to clip it. We're just going to trace along here. You can clip this piece down, but I just hold it down. And so we've made a mark here because we've lined it up on the bottom edge. Now we're going to line it up on the top edge. And then we're going to draw that line again. So now you have something that looks like this without missing a spot. My pen is acting funny. Okay. All right, that's one end. Then just turn it around, and you're going to do this for both straps. So line up the template on the bottom edge. And then draw that line. Then move it to the top edge, line it up, and then draw the line. Okay, so now you have these two ends with a gap in between. You have the two ends marked. So now what we need to do is to get our ruler sorry, and match those, meet up those two lines, those two edges with your ruler. And then draw a line. And we just connect the line. So we'll do that on both sides. And we still have to do it for the other strap, but I'm just showing you how this one is. So now we have all of that connected, okay? And then we're going to lay double-sided tape along both the raw edges. Okay, and then just flip it around and double-sided tape on the other edge. All right, so we've got the double-sided tape down both sides. So we're going to take the backing off and we're going to fold the raw edge to the line. We're not folding on the line. We're going to fold the raw edge to that line. And we do it for both sides and the other piece as well, but we'll just work on this one. Now this pattern does call for interfacing or stabilizer down the strap. I'm not going to put any in between the two strap layers, only because of the fact that this prairie faux leather is pretty firm. So I don't think I need it, and I do want a bit of flexibility on my strap too. And we will do the other side. Okay, so there we have the two edges, raw edges folded to that line, and we repeat for the other side. All right, so we have both of our straps folded into those lines on both sides. And on one of the straps, I put a 1/4 inch double-sided tape down along and to cover this edge. And as I mentioned before, I'm not going to be using any kind of stabilizer or any interfacing. So just on one of these edges, I'm just taking the double-sided tape off and I'm going to line, oops, caught. All right, so then I'm going to start putting our strap pieces together, and I'm just going to line up one edge, making sure that the your ends match, but that these two folded edges match, and I'm just doing that on one side. And then when we take the double-sided tape off the other side, we will, and let it fall, we'll see where exactly it meets and doesn't meet, and then I can adjust the, make any adjustments if necessary to make sure that the other side, the folded edges match evenly. Okay, so we have them attached and our edges all match. So now I'm going to take the double-sided tape backing off the other side. There it is. And I'm just going to let the strap drop and then I'm going to see where I have to make an adjustment if the edges don't meet. Okay, so see, check it on this side. Okay, that looks good. So far, so good. This one is a little bit off. You can see why I didn't get to the line. Pretty good. Okay, great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to top stitch 1/8 of an inch down both sides, and then I also like to come in 1/4 of an inch from that stitch line and do another stitch line at 1/4 of an inch. Now I'm just going to do the 1/4 inch stitching. Oops, wrong thing going in the garbage. Actually, the 1/4 inch stitching, I'm going to be doing it from the folded edge instead. Just because that bottom end of the strap ends are pretty thin. trim some of these threads out of the way. All right, so I just want to burn those. Just make sure that my ends are straight when we go to put the strap ends on. I just want to take a lighter to those ends just to kind of seal up that vinyl. All right, and one of the things that I do like to do, so there's our stitching, our double line stitching, and one of the things that I do like to do is I like to make a mark right on the top edge of the right side of my strap, so I know what's the right side. Okay, so I've made the 2 marks in the center there for now, and so that's my right side. And now what we're going to do is take the margin template, and in the and there are marks for your rivet placement on each end of the strap. So you take your strap end, your margin placement pattern piece. Is that the margin? Yeah, that's just, okay, I don't need the strap end anymore. All right, so the margin template, there's a mark, there's 2 marks for your rivet holes, so you can mark them on each end. Just line the template up centered there. Okay, and there we have them marked, and they should be lined up. And we will be at the very end putting our strap ends on these ends of the strap. Okay, so we have marked our rivet hole marks on our strap end. And then on the side gussets, we have marked them as well with using our margin template pattern. And it's also on the side gusset pattern. So I've got them all marked. So I'm just going to take my hole punch and punch those holes, because we're going to attach the strap with rivets. This is going to look so amazing. Okay, and then we will punch the holes through the strap. Okay, so we need 4 rivets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 4 caps. Okay, so what we do is we take right side up. I have my mark, and I'm going to feed the strap end from the top of the side gusset through the loop, and then we're going to line up that first rivet hole. I'm going to put the post in from the front and through the first hole, and put the cap on, and then the other rivet through that other hole and put a cap on. So it's going to look like that. Doesn't that look amazing? And then when we have our strap end, oh, that's going to look so sharp. All right, make sure that you have your strap going the right way, and you're going to wind up with a big, huge loop. So do the same with your other side. Put the post through the bottom. Make sure they're straight, and then we're going to just rivet them on. I just want to clip them just to make sure that the strap stays centered while I do my rivets so it doesn't get moved. Okay. Just make sure it's in there seated and straight. Do the other side. Just line up the strap. Okay. Okay, there's our loop. Doesn't that look really nice? That looks amazing. All right, I'll be back. Okay, so now we are going to construct our front and back panel onto our gusset with the handle. Now, when I did the front panel, and I didn't follow the pattern properly, it had said to cut out some of the bulk back here so you didn't have a bunch of layers on the bottom and the side seams for when we add the gusset. And I didn't do it, but I went back in and I peeled back my foam And then I trimmed off the 2 layers that were here and just followed that stitch line. And then I just kind of cut back on this side so that it was out of the seam allowance. And there was nothing to worry about on this side. So I did go back before we constructed everything, and I did cut out that bulk because I would have had 3 layers plus the gusset. So, all right, so just put your back panel aside for the moment. We're going to work on the gusset, the front panel, and we're going to put the gusset on, and it doesn't matter which side you use. So right sides together, you've got your center marked on your bottom on both sides, and you've got your centers marked on the top and bottom of your, the top and the bottom of your panel. So what we're going to do is we're going to, at the bottom of the front panel, we're going to line up the bottom center with the bottom center on the panel, the front panel, and just clip all of this. You're going to need a lot of clips. Just clip that whole bottom until you get to the curve, or that seam is what I've got here. And then follow up the side of the gusset, and then you're going to take this corner of the gusset and this corner of your front panel, and you're going to line those up, those corners up together, corner to corner, top edge and right and bottom edge or side edge. Line them all up. I'm just going to give a clip on the top here too. Clip all the way down the side until you get to the curve, and see how the curve fits in. I have some errant longer threads here that we don't want peeking through the stitching. I have never constructed a gusset like this before with the handle like this. This is pretty neat. Okay, and then we're going to do the same for this side. Just line up your top corner with your corner here, making sure that your handle is kind of out of the way. It does add a bit of bulk or weight to what we're doing. Oops. I'm sorry, dry throat. It's winter. Coffee and my sustenance. Sometimes I think I need an IV with the coffee. All right, put all that on. We still have. Okay. So I make sure all of our edges are going to line up here. We do have some extra edges here, or extra bulk there, but I know my machine will go through it. Okay, and then take your bag and flip it upside down so that the front panel is showing. Kind of make it into a bowl. Like if you kind of just kind of squish that down so that it has a curve going in, and that will help ease in your corners. With the side of the gusset. Lots of clips in this area. And it does fit. If it doesn't fit, you can make little snips into your gusset to help ease it in, but this looks like it's going to go in quite nicely. One of the things with the pattern is it did give the option for piping, and I'm not doing piping on this. That does fit in really nice, but I'm using a lot of clips because I want to make sure that that corner is going to stay, and it's running away from me right now. Okay, and then we will repeat for this side as well. The bag is bulky. Threads. Just going to give a few little snips onto this corner just to help ease. I've got a few little puckers on my front. That's better. Like I said, lots of clips. All right, so what I'm going to do, so we got the front clipped onto the gusset. I'm going to baste it all on at an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, and then I'm going to go and stitch around it at the seam allowance in the pattern, but I want to baste it on just to get these clips out of the way. Move some stuff off my corner of my desk here. Just going slow around that corner. These are all attaching to my magnet. Oops, over here. All right, so that's just basted on at 1/8 of an inch. Now I'm going to go in at the seam allowance in the pattern, and I'm going to actually sew it on now. Go slow around the curves. I don't want any puckers there on the corners. Ouch. Stabbing myself this week. Okay, that looks great. So I'm just going to attach the back panel to the gusset and do exactly the same thing. So right side of the back panel to the right side of the gusset, the bottom, flip and flip and flip, 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 flip. Okay, so we're going to stitch around this like we did the other side at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance for just to baste it in. Get rid of all the clips. And then we'll sew it at the seam allowance in the pattern. Caught. Okay, now I'm going to stitch around at the seam allowance. It's nice when there aren't any clips and you don't have to maneuver around them and stop and pull them out. Okay, the marathon stitching is done. Okay, let's turn this and we'll kind of see what it's like. 3/4 done, because then we're going to work on the lining next. This looks so pretty. It really does. Oh, I love these colors. And that brown thread looks really nice. The dark brown thread, bonded nylon, looks really nice with this vermilion color. Look at that. Oh, isn't that pretty? Look at how those straps are. That is really, really sharp. And when I get the strap ends on, oh, it's going to look amazing. And this strap is really nice too. But look at that front. That is a work of art. This pattern is such a work of art. Whoever the designer of this pattern is Sammy Valencia. This pattern came out August 6th of 2025, and it's part of their Zodiac membership. So I guess it was released to the public. Oh, this is so pretty. This is a statement bag. There's absolutely no doubt about that. And it might be my statement bag, but I really, really like this vermilion color. It is so pretty. Okay, I will be back. Alrighty, so now we're going to start working on our lining, interior lining. So for this part, you're going to need, you can make inside, you can make a welt pocket, which is just a slip pocket, a fancy slip pocket, and or a zipper pocket. So we're going to do the zipper pocket. You can do a zipper pocket on the inside lining on one side and a welt pocket on the other. It's entirely up to you, but we're just going to be doing the zipper pocket only. So I need my one piece of the zipper pocket facing. It says zipper pocket facing or welt pocket facing on the pattern piece. So I'm going to need that of my lining. I'm going to need the zip pocket piece lining that you cut on the fold. So the pattern piece says either welt pocket piece or zip pocket piece. So that's what we're going to be using. And then one of your main lining panels, your other short zipper, and I have my zipper pull already on. And then I also have my Made in Canada label that I'm going to try to remember to put on this side as well. Before we construct everything. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the lining main panel piece. And I just want to attach that back onto the other one so we know what it is. And our zipper pocket facing. So what I have done on the wrong side of my facing, and of course I'm using the soft shell. So this is really thin and I'm using it for the first time to try it for lining. And what I have done is, because I know that that strong bond, bonded nylon Tech 70 thread that I was using, the dark brown, is going to be too heavy for this fabric. So I switched out my thread. It's red and it's just the regular Gutermann Sews All thread on my bobbin and on my spool. So on the wrong side of the zipper pocket facing, I've traced the mark on there from these that you need, and I forgot to mark my centers, which I need. So let me just mark my centers on these pieces. Okay, and then on your lining, you've got your centers marked as well. So in the pattern, there's a measurement of where to line up your zipper pocket facing. So I'll find my ruler. Okay. So I'm just going to measure down. I have my center marked here. I'm just going to measure down in the measurement that they give in the pattern. Centered. And then you're going to put the wrong side up of your facing. Line that up with the center of your ruler and line it up the edge of your ruler and then pin it. You might have to just adjust to make sure that it's still right. It'll be interesting to see how this soft shell sews up and works for lining, because I do have a fair size. I have about 1 meter of it now. Okay. Okay, so there I've got the wrong side up on the right side. So basically right sides together. Okay, so I'm going to decrease my stitch length to a 2. I like using a smaller stitch length going around a zipper box. And I'm going to be stitching all around this box here. The beauty of this jack. I have to tell you how much I love this machine. I've had it exactly a year now. I don't ever adjust the tension. Sorry, this is an aside from sewing, but I never, ever touch my tension. Never. I can have this Gutermann Sewzall thread, which is like a Tex, what, 25 maybe? And I can go right, and I had my Tex 70 weight in here. No difference, no problem with the stitching. The stitches are still gorgeous. I never touch my tension. I don't ever do too much with this machine. It's just, I just love this machine. It's very simple. It's nothing fat, you know, and I'm just so thrilled that I have it. And I got such a good deal on it at New Year's Eve a year ago that somebody was selling it. They bought it during COVID and they didn't really use it too much. And they put it up for sale. It was in this area, and it was exactly what I was looking for because I wanted a table on wheels because I've changed my sewing room around so many times, although I've had it at this configuration now since I started recording videos, which is great. I'm not changing it. Anyways, just an aside while we're sewing this on. I love this machine. It's so easy. I have to change the oil. I haven't changed it since I bought it a year ago, so it's time that the oil is changed. Okay, so here is an example. This is what I mean by not having to do anything with the tension. Like the stitches are just so nice, and even on the bobbin side, beautiful. Okay, so let's just take our pins out. I'm probably going to need them again. Band-Aid. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to just fold this in half, make a little snip on that line, the center line. And then I'm going to stitch, or I'm going to snip all the way along that line to this corner, and then I'm going to cut those corners, and same with this side. If you cut your corners by accident, all is not lost. You can always go back in and restitch your corner. You know, maybe start 1/4 of an inch on this edge, go into the corner, and then stitch to there as well. I've cut my stitching by accident, you know, a couple of times. I'm sure we all have, and I've just gone back and restitched that corner. Okay, so we have that all cut out, nice big gaping hole. Now I don't have an iron on, and I don't have my, this can't be ironed anyways. So flip everything to the wrong side, up. And then you're going to take your facing and you're going to fold it along that stitch line so that it's here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some double-sided tape, because I like to use double-sided tape to hold this down. And I'll just do one edge at a time. I could have put the double-sided tape on the other side. That would have helped. I can still do that. All right, let's just do it that way. Flip it back to the right side. Just lay your double-sided tape on the top edges there and down the sides. Something just went flying. It was my Made in Canada label. This Band-Aid's getting in my way. Okay, flip it back over to the wrong side and pull one of the edges, the long edges, so that you can see the right side. And I'm just going to take this backing off and then just fold along that stitch line so that it's crisp. I'll do it this way so I can see what I'm doing. So that it's crisp and even. It's not going to work that way. Keeping your bandaged finger out of the way because it sticks to everything. Okay, and then do the other long side. And the short ends. It's one thing about this method, using double-sided tape for your facing, is that you can pull it and stick it so that your corners don't have puckers in them. That's what I really like about it. Okay. So that's what it looks like on this side. Okay, then take your welt pocket or your zipper pocket, and I have the centers marked, and put double-sided tape on the top and the bottom. This tape doesn't like to rip very well, so I've got to cut it. It doesn't matter what's your top and what's your bottom. Use my nails to score it down on that fabric because I know it doesn't like to stick very well. Okay, double-sided tape on the top and the bottom. All right, so now we're going to get our zipper, and I'm just going to take a lighter just to the ends. I know my zipper tape is way too long. Actually, and of course, what did I forget to do? But I forgot to mark my centers. Okay, so I have my centers marked on the front and the back, and on the bottom, whatever you decide is the bottom, especially if you have directional, you're going to want to know how to do that. Take the backing off the double-sided tape. It's not sticking. Okay. And then center your zipper right side up with your center marks on the lining and on your zipper, and line up your edges just like that. And I'm just following the pattern. All right, and then we're going to add double-sided tape to the top and the bottom of the zipper. Okay, so we're just going to remove the lining, or sorry, the lining. We're going to remove the double-sided tape backing on the zipper. And I know I'm going to have double-sided tape in the way of at some point in time, and then I'll wind up peeling that off when we don't need it. Okay. My zipper pull I have going to the left. You're going to line up the wrong side. Okay, wrong side down on top of your zipper. And you're going to center that. And make sure that it's centered. This is centered kind of here as well and on your zipper. And when I make sure your zipper pull is going into the center. Tape I'm using is Waywack Hyper Stick, and it's a hyper stick. It sticks to everything. Okay. And I can kind of line up my center marking with my center marks on my zipper. And you're going to lay your lining over top of your zipper panel or the lining panel. Centering, what I do is in between this corner and this corner on both ends, the short ends, I center my teeth, my zipper teeth in between that short edge on both ends, and then pretty much your lining, your edges of your zipper box will fall into place and be centered. Just like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to just sew the bottom part of the zipper box onto the zipper. Don't backstitch. Make sure that you leave your threads tails long on both ends. And what we're going to do is right here, we're going to start about 1/8 of an inch from this corner and stitch all along the bottom and end 1/8 of an inch on the outer edge of this corner. And I'm keeping my stitch length at a 2. And it's basically top stitching. And make sure that your lining piece is going upward. We're not doing anything with the lining at the moment. I'm just going to roll my lining actually because it's pretty long. Okay. And I'm just going to start 1/8 of an inch away from that edge. Okay, and leaving my tails long. And we're just stitching 1/8 of an inch along that folded edge. If your zipper pull is in the way, lift your presser foot and move your zipper pull out of the way. Okay, just coming up to that end. Thread broke. Great. My tails didn't stay long. Oh, it's long enough. I gotta remember not to pull so hard on this thread because it's not as heavy duty as the other thread. Okay, so if you haven't tied any of your threads to the back yet, here's how we're going to do it. It might be hard to see because it's red. So you have a top thread and you have your bottom thread, which is your bobbin. So underneath, take your bottom, the thread that's underneath, and pull it. Give it a bit of a tug, and you'll see that that little loop just kind of appeared right there. And grab that loop with a pointy whatever. I'm just using my Jack the Seam Ripper. I can get it. and just pull it to the back. Don't cut it. And do the same with the other side, which already happened because my thread broke. All right, make sure that when you're tying your threads that they're not too long. I've done that. Okay, so then what you do is you just take your 2 threads. Sometimes you're going to have 4, depending on what you're doing. So, and just take them, and what I do is I tie them. I do a double knot in each hole, and that helps it, because you know when you tie a knot, do the first tie, it kind of pops open. This stops it from popping open. And then I do about 3 ties, 3 double knot ties. And the same on the other side. Okay. And then I just take my lighter, which I have over here, and the thread tails that are, the threads that are a little long, I just take my lighter to them and then just burn the ends. It's beauty. This is polyester thread. It's not the nylon bonded, but they're both plasticky, so they will melt. Okay, so this is what we have at the moment. And it's beautifully stitched from this corner to this corner. Hard to see because of the red on red. Now, what we do is flip it to the wrong side again. Take your backing off the double-sided tape. And then take this and fold it up. Let me zipper pull out of the way. Fold it up and line up your center mark with the center mark on your zipper. And then line up your edges. Just like that. And then what we're going to do is now we are going to make sure that your lining is down, your pocket is down. And now what we're going to do is we're going to stitch. We're going to put the needle in where we ended on that stitch. We're going to go up the side and across the top and down the side so that we end back in that stitch hole, and then we're going to tie our threads off. There we go. And make sure that your lining is going down. Beautiful. Okay, and then we're going to tie our threads off again. And just take a lighter to those thread ends. And that is our sewn zipper box. Beautifully stitched. Yeah, I've got puckers, but that's this material too. All right, now on the back, this is what it looks like. So I'm just going to sew up the sides, go straight up the sides over top of that zipper as well, and close everything up. And you'll have a nice size zipper pocket. That'll also catch the facing in there. And do that on the other side. Okay, and like I said, I always leave my zipper, cut my zipper too long, and I'm not going to worry about cutting it off. I'm just going to take a lighter to the ends, just to melt those ends so that they don't fray. They aren't going to be in any way in the way at all. Okay, so there's the wrong side. And there is the right side all wrinkled. I'll have to see if I can iron that. When you open up your zipper pocket, beautiful. In fact, you even have room to make a wider one, a bigger zipper pocket if you want. But I'm following the pattern, and there's our beautiful lining inside. All right, I'll be back. Okay, so now we're going to work on our zipper panel, and this is a recessed zipper panel. So you have 2 lining and 2 exterior pieces for your zipper panel. And then you have your longer zipper that's in the pattern, and make sure that your zipper pull is on. I have mine closing to the left. In the pattern, there is a measurement on, because we're going to be doing the Butler method, and I'm going to show you 2 different ways that can be done. So there's a measurement that you mark a line across here, so that this is where we're going to fold our zipper, or fold to create those corners to finish the zipper. So pull the zipper open past that line. And what we're going to do is you fold on that line, or slightly above it or below it, so that you don't see the line. You're not going to see any of this in the stitching. So I really crease that in order to have a nice crease. I grab the corner, and then this back piece is going to pop up. And what you do is you line that creased edge, folded edge, so that it sits right underneath the teeth. Kind of doing this backwards, and then you pin it. So this is what it will look like. The fold goes right underneath the teeth, and we do it for both sides. So you fold on the line or just slightly below it so that you don't see the line on the fold. Make sure your edges of your zipper are lined up. And then I grab that corner, that folded corner, and then that back piece will pop up, the long edge, and then you just take that pinched corner and take your fold and line it up underneath your teeth and pin it. Oops. So now you have this kind of look. And you've got your folded edge right under your teeth on both sides. And it's kind of looking like that. So one method is to sew this edge to make sure that these stay together. And then the other method is you use a lighter. So the first one, I'm going to sew it, and then I will show you how to do the lighter. And we're just going to stitch. You don't want to see any stitching in this part of the zipper, because that's going to be this, where you're going to see this corner on the zipper. So we're going to stitch like right along here, and it will catch that fold in the back as well. And I've changed my thread out back. I've changed my thread back to the 70 tex weight of the dark brown. And when you're stitching, just make sure, because my pin is going to be possibly in the way. Ouch, I just stabbed myself again. Okay, and then make sure that you catch that little corner, that folded corner. So just a tack stitch forward and back. Watch your pin. You don't want to get that caught in your needle. Okay, so that's how that looks. And then the other method is I am going to trim this edge that's sticking out. And then I'm going to take a lighter to this edge and melt it. So I'm just going to take my utility scissors and trim that off. And then I'm going to take my lighter and I'm going to melt that edge, and then I just kind of squish it in. Take my pin out so that I don't have a bulge there, and I'll just melt it again and make sure that the back fold gets tacked onto the front. And you're not going to see that melted edge. So there is the melted edge. And then, but we're still going to trim this excess piece off because we don't need it, and from where I stitched, and I'm still going to melt that end as well. So there's just, these are the two different methods that you can decide which works for you. Either works. A lot of times I do the lighter, but the stitching works perfectly too. And there is our zipper. Beautiful. Okay, now we're going to take our zipper panel pieces, and on one of the exterior there is a measurement in the pattern to put a line on either end. Might be hard to see because my desk is white and the back is white. So I'm just going to make those lines on either end of one of the exterior. And it has the measurement in the pattern. And then on the other exterior, I'm just going to put that measurement line on one end. And on the linings, the two linings, I'm going to just put that measurement on one end, and that we're doing that on the wrong side. Okay, and now we're just going to take some double-sided tape, and we're going to put double-sided tape on each end of our linings and our exteriors. All right, on the piece, so on the piece that has both the markings on either end, you're going to just remove the backing of the double-sided tape on both ends. And then you're just going to fold that raw edge to that line on both ends, making sure you line it up evenly. Okay, that's the one end that has the two lines. And then on each piece that only has one line, we're going to just fold that raw edge to that line on the one side. On the exterior piece and on the lining pieces. Okay, so the two linings, we just have one end folded, and the one exterior, we just have one end folded. And so this one with the two ends, line this up, just lay it flat on your desk. Line up the left side fold of both exterior pieces so that the fold is in line together. And then on this end, you're going to remove the double-sided tape backing. And then you're going to fold this end over to meet so that it's in line, the fold is in line with this piece. So what you can also do is just clip these two ends together that you've lined up so they don't move, because that can happen. There, just clip them together. And then just take this end and fold it to meet so that the folded end on this one matches the folded end on the main piece. Okay. And then just put that aside. And then do that for the same thing for your linings. We're going to take our zipper and there's a certain measurement that we have to mark on these pieces. From the edge of the left side of your lining, put those aside for now. I'm just going to use that one. So there's a mark. And that's where we're going to start our zipper. So I've just made the mark within the seam allowance. It's not going to be seen. And then I'm going to put double-sided tape down from that mark to this corner. On the right side of our lining piece. Okay, and then we're going to take the zipper, this left corner of the zipper, and we're going to line that up, the zipper teeth, with, and I'm sticking, so is my tape. Oh, and Bailey, our old cat, is on the other side of the door, my door, wanting in, and she's not coming in. Okay, so I'm going to line up this edge of the zipper with that mark that I just made. May have to clip and line up your edges. the zipper is right side up, so teeth up. And then we're going to take one of our exterior pieces, and then I'm just running double-sided tape along the zipper. This bandaged finger doesn't help matters a lot. Okay, so I'm going to take the right side down of one of my exterior zipper panels, and I'm going to line that up with this folded edge. So this folded edge, I'm lining up with this folded edge. And I'm going to clip. Just to be on the safe side. Even though the double-sided tape is there. Before I forget, I'm going to fold the end of my zipper because my zipper pull is pretty close to that end. And I'm just going to fold that in, and I'm going to put a clip on the end of it so that my zipper pull doesn't go flying off. That has happened. Okay, line these up. Make sure when you get to this end that your lining and your exterior match. The folded ends match and are in alignment with each other. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to sew all the way down here, and then we're going to flip it and we're going to top stitch, and then I'll show you how we're going to do that. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to flip it. We're going to line up our folded ends. Line up our bottom ends. So I'm just clipping these folded edges. And do that on both sides. Okay, and then we're going to line up the bottom raw edges and clip them. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to sew top stitch all around down this side, along the zipper, and then down this side. So this edge is not going to be sewn. And because my fabrics are not equal in thickness, I have to really watch the lining. Oops, the thread got caught underneath. Okay, go this way. On this edge, I put it on this other edge, so it doesn't matter. Same thing. And I'll just move the double-sided tape to the other side. Wouldn't have mattered anyway, so, but. Okay, take the backing off the double-sided tape, if it'll stick. Okay, and then right side up, which is teeth up on your zipper, line up your other corner with that mark, and then line up your top, your straight edges. Turn it this way. Make the zipper pull down so I can see what I'm doing. Okay. And then double-sided tape along the top edge here of the zipper. And take the backing off. And then put your, line up your folded ends, this folded edge on the right side with this folded edge now. And I'm just going to clip these. And then just line up the straight edges here. And clip. And then when you get your pieces together, check to make sure that those folds on the other side, on both these ends, this side and this side, match, and that they are lined up. And then we are going to stitch along this edge and then flip it and top stitch like we did on this side. All right, and then we'll just flip it and clip. And we'll stitch along the short edge, along the zipper, and along here for top stitching. Okay, so here is our zipper, recessed zipper facing and the lining. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, we're going to work on attaching our zipper gusset panel to our lining pieces. So first of all, before we do anything, I can now take this clip off the end, and now we can separate our pieces. So the piece that we're working with first is whatever piece interior lining you choose to be the front lining piece. That's the one we're going to lay down first, right side up. And then we're going to take our zipper piece with the rounded ends to the right, this one to the right, and we're just going to take this one and put it aside. And we're going to line up, so right side up of your zipper panel, right side up of your lining, And we're going to clip these pieces together, matching your centers. And lining up your raw edges. All right, so on this piece, we have the zipper panel clipped on, and we're going to baste this on to the lining at a 1/8 inch seam allowance. And then we're going to take our lining contrast band and we're going to, first of all, the lining contrast band has a drop down line. So I need to mark that. And your band, there's a shorter edge and a longer edge. This edge, you can see that there's a little bit of a point going out on the bottom. So make sure that you have the right sides. And I'm going to match those. I'm going to mark those the drop down marks before I forget. On both pieces. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to draw a line right across, matching those marks. And do that on both pieces. Thought I had all this prep work done. Oh well. All right, and then before we forget, we're going to mark our centers on the top and the bottom. Okay, back to our lining piece. All right, so there's the top and the bottom, and the top and the bottom, because the top has our line going across the back of it. Okay, so if I top. All right, so we're going to align the bottom edge of our contrast band, And we're going to right sides together with the lining, with the zipper pocket, zipper facing, clip them together. Because we want that line at the top. Put this piece aside for the moment. All right, so we have it all clipped on, and then we're going to sew at the seam allowance in the pattern, sew that on. I've already basted the zipper lining on, or the zipper panel. Come on, thread. Okay, so that is now all sewn on. And then what we do is, get my tape out of the way. Then we fold this up. So we fold everything up, including our lining, our zipper panel. It's hard to see because it's red on red. Fold that up alongside, so right sides together with the panel. And then we're going to top stitch along the lining here. So that means your seam on the back needs to be heading down just like that, so that the top stitching will get caught. We'll catch the seam allowance that we just sewed. Make sure that your zipper pocket, because this is the panel I have with my zipper pocket, that it's down, heading to the bottom, and it's not going to be in the way of any stitching. The soft shell is going to make a nice lining. It's very lightweight, but it should be waterproof as well because it's what they make jackets out of. So if you want to put a water bottle or anything like that in your bag, you're going to be able to, it should be waterproof. So, okay, so there is our recessed, one side of our recessed zipper. I also forgot to mention that because this is the front of the bag and I'm going to be looking into it with the zipper pocket on the front, I also basted my Made in Canada label on this side. So myself or somebody buys this bag, when they look in, they can see that it was made in Canada. Okay, so we're going to take our other lining, our next lining panel, and open that up. I don't need that. And I need my band here, the contrast band, and I need my other zipper. But when I put this one on, it's going the curve is going to go this way. So on this piece, the curve of the zipper went this way on the right side. So now it's going to be on the left. So we're going to clip the zipper panel onto the lining piece. And this lining, I don't have anything on it. Didn't make any welt pocket or any zipper pocket. And then of course we have our curve of our zipper going to the left on this side. Clip that on, and then we're going to baste across that at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Just going to need these again. Okay. And then the bottom, so this is the top, the bottom edge of the contrast band is going to be clipped right side down. So right side of your lining and right side of the band are together. And we're going to clip that matching the centers and lining up our straight edge. And then we're going to sew it on at the seam allowance in the pattern. Okay, and then we're going to flip everything up, and then we're going to top stitch across here. Keep an eye on my bobbin, it might be running out soon. Maybe I'll be playing chicken with my bobbin. So far, so good. Bobbin. Okay, now we have both our panels that we have our zipper sewed on, and now I believe we are going to be constructing the lining. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our lining pieces right side together, and now you can see that when the right sides together, our zippers match. We're going to line up our edges and our bottom. Get it out of there. Can't do anything with a bandaged finger. Make sure the top is lined up. And just clip, clip, clip. Make sure that your side seams where you've joined your facing, your contrast band, are lined up. So they're not off and being wonky. Oh, and before I forget, take your zipper tails so they stay out of the stitching, and just clip them onto your other, fold the back, clip them out of the way. Line up your side seams again and your top. And clip, clip, clip. Clip the sides. We're going to start at the top at 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, and then when we get down basically kind of past this point, because there's the angle there, then we're going to kind of graduate from 1/4 of an inch. We're going to just go down a bit, and then we're going to start sewing in close, making a larger seam allowance, and it's 3/8 of an inch seam allowance all the way down. And same with this side, start at 1/4 of an inch, sew down a bit, and then start graduating into a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Do 3/8 of an inch seam allowance on your bottom as well. Pick on my thumb. All right, now we're just going to reach down inside, and we're going to take our box corners and open them up. So what we're going to do is open up your seams, butterfly them open or splay them open, and you're going to line up this seam with this seam, okay? And clip to hold them together. And then just take your corners. I know that this edge is a little longer, and that's okay, because it's just going to get sewn and you're not going to see it. And then do the same for the other side. Okay, there is our lining all done. I'm going to put double-sided tape the 1/4 inch all around here, because this is a drop-in lining. Put it all around the edge, top edge of the lining and the exterior bag. Now we have the line marked here. I forgot to mark the line on my exterior, but I'm sure I can figure it out. Take the backing off one side. Just want to measure that line. And we're going to fold the edge, this edge, to that line. We may have to clip it. So there we have the lining top folded down, and I'm going to do the same for my interior, or my main. Okay, and start laying it down. Okay, we will pull off the backing. I have double-sided tape in there all along the top, and then we're going to pull the backing off and fold it. But I'm not pulling it all the way off because I don't want this folding into the bag. Okay, forgot. Okay, we're going to put the lining in to the main bag, and it'll be wrong sides together. So we're dropping it into it, and I want this zipper pocket on the lining at the front. So it's going to go in this way. Shove her in. Now what we're going to be doing is lining up. That should be centered there. I'm just making sure I'm getting it on the right, going the right way. Yeah. Okay, so this interior seam for our contrast band on the lining, make sure that that is centered in this, between these two seams. And clip, and clip, and clip, and clip. And you're lining up your folded edges so that your folded edges are going to be even. Oh, and there's Bailey bugging to come in. She's a loud meower. Okay, I'll do the same on this side. Now we still haven't done our zipper yet, so I'm going to center this center seam of the lining onto the center of this, between these two seams. And I can pretty much eyeball it. I've spent my life centering things for typing, and okay, and just clip these corners, these edges. I might have trouble going over top of these seams. Let's see. Keep your zipper, recess zipper down. You don't want that getting caught on anything. Okay, I have to bring it down here. It's just too high. And then I'm just going to clip all around these top edges. This is going to be so pretty. Making sure that these folded edges are even. All clipped, and I'm going to start at the back, and I'm going to tie my threads to the other side. I'm going to start the top stitching. I'm going to sew it from the inside, and I'm going to start the top stitching at the back here. Make sure that when you sew, you have your zipper, recess zipper pushed down so it doesn't get caught on anything. Handle, get the handle out of the way. And I'll be tying my threads to the back and wrestling with the bag. I'm going to just increase my stitch length to a 4. We're top stitching this. And it says top stitch at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, here goes. To get over those seams. It went over good, yay. Take it slowly for the top stitching. I mean, my bag is getting caught on my table because it's so big. And the bigger stitch length does help get around the top easier. Whenever you make an adjustment to your bag to turn it around, make sure that your needle is down. As you wrestle your bag around. And of course, as I come around to the front, I want to make sure that the stitching is nice, because that's what you're really going to see. Push that down. All right, that looks great. This thread is amazing. Okay, I'm on the front now. Oops. I want the stitches on the front. WrestleMania with your sewing machine. Oops. Okay, we did it. Let's see some spots. Oh, my bobbin just ran out in time. How lucky is that? Oh, I never even thought. Okay, that was lucky. Jeez. And just enough length to tie everything to the back. There it is. Dropped in, all in. Oops, got a bit of oil there. So nice. Okay, now what we're going to do is take the clips off of our zipper. Make sure that you're on the inside. Take your zipper ends. I'm going to grab a few clips. So where your zippers curve, and just clip those, and then clip your folded edges here on your zipper gusset, just so that they're even. I'm going to just see if I can turn this down. There we go. Just turn the top down a bit. And then just make sure your zipper, you can clip your zipper just to make sure it stays even. I just find that helps when I want to go and line up the ends of this zipper, because we have to put the zipper pull back on. And then that way I can see if my ends are even, which they still are. Oh, there's my zipper pull. Okay, so I'm just going to put the zipper pull back on. push it on. Okay, now I'm going to take all my clips off and make sure, see that I lined it up right. Perfect. Yay! Okay, so there's our, oops, I still have a clip there. Okay, there's our recessed zipper. And all of that lines up there. Just helps to kind of line some stuff up there. I don't even know if I pushed in my lining all the way either, because I didn't. I just kind of shoved it in. All right, I don't want to lose that end. Okay, so now what we're going to need is our zipper end. And I have a gold one. I don't have a antique brass, but nobody's going to see it because it'll be tucked in. And I just want to clip this because I want to see how far open this zipper needs to go. You don't want to have a super long tail there. So maybe just to there and open it up. That's a nice, and that soft shell did make a nice lining. Okay, so I kind of want to open it till there. So maybe I'll cut about an inch and a half off because we don't need it this long. This is probably still going to be too long. And then what I'm going to do is, just want to melt the end there. And I'm going to fold it, squish the bag. So you can see what I'm doing. So on there, I've got the wrong, you can see the wrong side. I'm going to fold that over, and I'm just going to fold that over as well. And what I do is I burn it. I burn the end and burn the back, and it melts it. And then I kind of just squish it together just to kind of melt it. Okay, so you're going to need, I have my little rechargeable electric screwdriver. We're almost done because now we just have the strap ends to put on. Oops. Let's see here. Okay. Now I take my Beacon Fabri-Tac glue, or whatever glue you use. I put a little drop or a drop or two inside here. Don't go crazy because you could put too much in and it'll squish out through your screw hole where their screw goes in. And I just tap it down so that it kind of just settles to the bottom. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some of that glue and put it on the top edge and a bit on the back, about 1/8 of an inch. That just kind of helps it glue in there. And then that's the right side, and the wrong side is where the screw hole is. So the right side up, teeth up, and shove it in there. It might need to be a little skinnier. Probably made that too wide. Okay, there it goes. Just shove it on. There we go, all the way on. It goes in pretty good. So just like that, and then there's the little end, and there's lots of glue in there to help after it gets sealed in. So, oops, hit my light. Okay, this is where you need a bigger desk. Flip it this way. So I have it this way up and you can see it. There's the screw hole. Put the screw in the screw hole. If you don't have a bandaged finger, it's easier. And then screw that in with your screwdriver. And there's glue, I can see some glue oozing out of there, and that's good because then that way it'll help catch the screw. And get your screw in there as best as you can. There, you can't feel it anymore. All right, there is our zipper end with the squished bag. And then of course you're just going to tuck that down. It's probably too long, but we're getting there. Now we have our strap ends to do. So what I want to do, and that's going to add a really nice feature. So there's our 2 1-inch strap ends, and I already have the screws in there. Let me just get the screws out now. Oh, it's snowing again. Put them in here so they don't get lost. There's nothing worse. I have a screw out around here somewhere. Probably got sucked up with my vacuum or the other day. Why isn't that going in? There it goes. Sometimes these screws, when they come from the manufacturer, I get all my hardware from Waywack, and sometimes they have a little bit of a coating in them, but it's sometimes hard to undo them, get them undone. Okay, so I'm just going to measure these strap ends from the loop, the bottom of the loop to the end. I want to see how long each one is. Okay, they're both the same length. How great is that? I just want to melt them. This one looks like it needs to be trimmed slightly. It's not quite straight. That made a difference. So I'm just going to light melt them a bit more. And we're going to put these on just like we did for the zipper end, with glue and screw. The glue and the screws. But they're both the same length. Okay, so what I want to do, oops, I'm caught. This tape, I'm telling you, it's great tape, but it sticks to everything. Okay, so I just want to take some glue and just run some down into the bottom of the zipper of the strap end. Not a lot, because this will ooze out. Tap it down and do that for the other one. I have put too much on here at one point in time that it will ooze out. Okay, and then the same thing on this strap end. I'm just going to run some glue over the end of it, just a little bit, and not quite 1/8 of an inch on either edge, but that'll go over those teeth or the threads as well. And then the right side, that's the right side, and of course the wrong side has the screw. So you want the right side up, because you want to see the right side, and just slide that on over top of your end. Get it over top of your stitching, and yeah, glue's going to come out. Okay, and center that on just like that, and I'm just going to let that set for a second, and I'm going to do the same for the other one. And the glue will help hold it on until we screw it on. Okay. Just slide that on. Push it all the way down. It's not going on that one end. Probably because my back stitching is there. Okay, now we've got glue coming out. Have Kleenex handy. Okay, slide that. Not quite centered. Oops, watch your Kleenex so that it doesn't get stuck to the glue like mine just did. Okay, and center that best you can. Okay, I'm going to do this end first. I want to make sure this one's good. Yep, okay. All right, flip it over to the wrong side. Get your screw. Corner just doesn't want to seem to get in there. Okay. You'll see that I talk to myself a lot. And as I'm holding this, as I screw it, I'm holding these together, like I'm pushing with my finger, and we're going to just screw that down. And then the other one. And then I just give it a manual twist until I can feel a little bit of resistance. That'll get down there even more. Even though this has a lot of torque, it doesn't seem to get in there as good. Okay, there's one. And then we'll do the other one. This one, the glue's had a bit of time to set in there. Oops, it went in crooked. There we go, that's one. It's done. It's done, yay! Look at this bag. Oh my, isn't that gorgeous? Look at those strap connectors. That is such a beautiful, beautiful look to this bag. And with this zipper pocket in the back, it's probably room enough to put your phone. Oh yeah, there's lots of room for your phone back here. And then the recessed zipper. And then inside, lots and lots of room. And we have our zipper pocket on the inside as well. All right, let's move you guys up. There it is. So you can see the Philippa that I did just the other day and the tutorial that I did. And then that's the Sedona from the style Magnolia. Okay, here is the bag. How beautiful is that? And I love how this 3D effect sun and halo turned out. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? All right, so this is how, because it is a shoulder bag, so this is how it's going to look when you wear it. Very, very nice. I absolutely love it. And it's a work of art, not just from what I did, but the actual written pattern is a work of art of this front panel here. So let me just move you down a bit more. Okay, so thank you so much, Shamballa Bags, for giving me permission to do this bag, the beautiful sunset bag. And I'm not sure if there's other tutorials out there, but maybe this is the first. But this is a beautiful bag. I absolutely love the side straps and the look of this bag. And thank you for being here and sewing along with me with the beautiful sunset bag from Shamballa. And infomercial, thank you for being here. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share. On the bottom right of your screen, you'll see a red subscribe button. So click that and subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. And I love comments if you have any suggestions. If you also like the change in the angle of the camera and stuff like that, I think it worked better. I could see the screen better for myself. And I do answer comments quite fast as well at this point anyhow. But so like, comment, share, subscribe, and thanks for being here to sew up with me this gorgeous, beautiful sunset bag from Shamballa.